And I'd just like to say thank you for coming, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. How is everyone? Thank you so much. We've had a great time. When I say we, I'm here with my wife, Jane. Where is she? Stand up. There she is, right back there. And we have been here since Easter Sunday. That was only a few days ago, but we've been here every day checking everything out. And over this time, we have been secret shopping you. And by the way, we've done this in about 2,500 communities. Actually, it's more than that now, across the country. And so we do secret shopping pretty much for a living. We've been doing this for more than 40 years. And so it's been really great to be here. And when we do this, we go through several steps. The first thing we did is we didn't let, Monty was our main contact. And you know he's a banker when he can hand out fresh off the press $2 bills. I don't know anybody else that can do that. But we didn't let him tell us where to stay, what to do, what to see, nothing. So we had to go on our own like anybody else that might be wanting to move here or come and visit you. We looked at, was it easy to find information about Big Timber? Was it good enough to close the sale? How do you stack up? I mean, there is a tremendous amount of competition in Montana, as you know. And then we came here on Sunday, and we looked at your signage, your gateways. Could we find things? What was the overall appeal, our first impressions? Critical mass, which is like businesses grouped together. I mean, your amenities like parking, all of these different things to see and do, activities, you name it. But the bottom line of this whole effort is this, is what else could you do in Big Timber to make it an even better destination for visitors, for investors, local residents? When I say investors, even for your local businesses. So what else could we do? So there's no looking back. There's no saying, oh, you will not hear from me saying, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. This is just as of this time, coming from a first-time visitor looking at you, is what else could you do to make it even better? And by the way, we come in with a focus of tourism, and let me tell you about a couple things that are changing. For the very first time in American history, jobs are going where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. That never happened before in the history of the United States, and this all started about 4 or 5 years before COVID, and then COVID just put it on an accelerant. And so people are living, I mean, you can see what's happening in Montana. I mean, when I was first working in Bozeman and down in Big Sky, houses, a nice house was a couple $100,000. Well, you know what's happened since then. So people are looking for places like Montana. They're looking for places like Big Timber. And what this means is that community development, which is quality of life, is leading economic development and tourism development. If you're the place they want to live, then they're going to come here and they will find a way to make a job. So we are now in the age of what they call placemaking. And by the way, tourism is the front door to all of your economic development efforts. Because all these people that you see coming up on your screen right now, they're all coming here first as what? Visitors. Just like we are. Would our employees want to live here? Would our staff want to live here? Can we make money here? What's your access like? All these people are coming first as a visitor. So when we did this assessment this whole week, we wore 3 hats. One, of a potential new residence. This is a place we'd want to live. And number 2, would we move a business here or start a business here in Big Timber? And then thirdly, as a leisure visitor. So we wear all 3 hats. And another thing we love about tourism is people come, they spend money and go home. And if you bring in the right visitors, we don't need social services. We don't need the cops chasing them down. We don't need all those things. And so that's great. But here's the kicker. The number one activity of visitors in the world, not the reason they come, but the number one activity once they arrive, is shopping, dining, and entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly, intimate setting, a downtown. And by the way, that is where 80% of the non-lodging spending takes place. 80%. You know, I used to teach for Disney Institute, and why do you think they put downtown Disney outside each of their parks? To get that 80%. So that's how important downtown is, this whole thing. You're going to hear a lot about downtown. And by the way, if you don't hang out in your downtown, neither do visitors. They go where you go. And that's really important. And then finally, another statistic, and this, by the way, is not a new trend. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. I'm waiting. Usually there's a guy in the audience that pipes up and says,
He just said it.
But that is absolutely true. They also make 70% of the decision where we're going to live, where we're going to go on vacation, and now I'm waiting for the guy to say, tell me something I didn't already know. But I want you to look at this next photo, which I took in a little town in Wickford, Rhode Island, and what do you see? That was not staged. Yep, it's the guys out on the benches waiting. So one thing is, you got 2 words for you. Think benches. There's Gene there trying to be in my model. But think benches. And by the way, we'd love to see 20 of them in downtown Big Timber, even more than you have now. And by the way, you're going to see these little numbers throughout this presentation. These are suggestions. There's no recommendations here. It would be really presumptuous of me to come into Big Sky, or into Big Timber, Big Sky. Into Big Timber, see, I work down in Big Sky. Into Big Timber and tell you what to do when we've never talked to you first. Remember, we sing a shop. So these are suggestions and ideas. But if you think about what we do at home, you might put a chair out on your front porch or 2 chairs out on your front porch. You know what? You may never sit in them, but it makes your home feel welcoming. It's the same with downtown. Benches and chairs outside your facades. So through this presentation, I'm going to give you a dozen ideas that'll make you a better place to live, work, and play. And so here is our Big Timber experience. And we're going to start with marketing because we've been here since Sunday, but for the 2 weeks before we even left home, we started looking at Big Timber. We started looking at websites. We started looking at all these different things. I mean, we started, and we felt that you need a stronger online presence. But if we go through this, went right to TripAdvisor, which is one of, besides Google, is the second most visited website when planning travel. And we saw Natural Bridge, Crazy Mountain Museums, County Visitor Information Center. So we got all of this. We looked at TripAdvisor. We made a list of attractions. We looked at the accommodations there, the photos in them. We looked at all those different things. And then we also, here you go, I put, here we go, Big Timber. You can see how we did this. Montana, Big Timber, things to do. And so we also went right down that list. You know, guided tours, big attractions, top attractions. But like Two Rivers Gallery, there's not even a photo. And it's free to put a photo there. It doesn't cost you anything to add to your listing here. I mean, they even have an attraction is the Gateway. So you can see all of those things. We got the churches there. But now all of a sudden, these are on trip. Look at Hodges Fine Art, Crazy Pig Brewing, Lions Club Park. All of these could be free on TripAdvisor, and nobody's putting them there. So this means that you as a community need to have a stronger online presence. And that TripAdvisor is just one. So with TripAdvisor, what I would do is I would add photos to descriptions. It's free. It doesn't take you. You go on TripAdvisor, you have to dig around and you say, if you're a business owner, here's where you go, and they will email you to verify it's you, and you can start adding photos. You can start adding information that people like us will pick up when we come and visit you. And then, by the way, read what people say about you. Because I wonder how many of you might be listed on TripAdvisor. You haven't added anything to it, but there might be people that's on TripAdvisor because somebody's reviewing you. What did they say? You know, and every once in a while, you'll get a negative one. Now, this happens to be for the Super 8, and they had great reviews. There was one that had a poor experience. It said poor location next to some train tracks. Well, if they would have, we stayed on the other side, and we could barely hear the freeway, and we hardly ever heard trains. But the point is, the owner and general manager of the Super 8 responded to a lot of these, but you got to respond to the negative ones. More important than the positive ones. And you could say, you know, if you put your fan on constant, the fans in the room, by the way, they've done a lot of upgrades there. And so always look at the reviews and always respond. And never be defensive, by the way. So, and by the way, the Super 8, this is where we stayed. And by the way, they've done a really great job with their photography. So I have a feeling they hired professional photographers. They did a good job. By the way, they've remodeled the upstairs rooms. They're remodeling the hotel. And it's actually quite nice. I mean, it even exceeds any Super 8 we've ever stayed in before. Now, you might say, well, why are you staying Super 8? I mean, we saw the silos out at Great Cliff Mill and went, oh my gosh, we'd love to stay in those. But the problem is we were working, we needed a desk, we needed, you know, Wi-Fi, we needed all those things. So that's why we chose the Super 8. It was not cheap. When a Super 8 is getting over $200 a night in Big Timber, you know, that's you know, that tells you you're short on lodging, by the way. Because I think a lot of your lodging is taken up full time. And so that was one thing. Another thing is if you have a business, make sure you claim your Google listing. I don't care what you think of Google, they rule the world. I mean, good or bad. And you need to include your open days and hours and holiday hours. So let me give you an example. So here's Big Timber. So we saw that right there. Top sites of Big Timber. This is on Google. So the TripAdvisor and Google. And it's free to add photos and everything. But here I did Crazy Woman Trainer. Here we go. I'm picking on you. Okay, but no, I went there. She's got her website directions. Look at that. She's got her hours there. I mean, and you can click. I said, okay, did she claim her listing? And she did. So we know that she has her listing for Crazy Woman Trading Company. And there it is. The owner is awesome. I really enjoyed chatting with her. Did you write that? Just kidding. And I mean, it's got 5 stars. I mean, but that's your Google listing. It is free. And it's not that easy, that hard to figure out and do. The next thing we did, so we looked at those for things to do, places to go. We looked at reviews. We went to the city website. Now, cities need to start acting like businesses. You need to promote your town if you want new residents, if you want new tax base, if you want more visitors. And you say, yeah, but our chamber promotes tourism. No, you as a city, if people are looking to move here, they're going to go to your city website as well. And so this is the home page. You know. And I don't know why that's so important. And even right here, it says, no events could be found within the specified time range today until 6 months from now. Really? Don't you have a Fiber Fest coming right up? Don't you have other events? These are the little missing things that us as outsiders see, and we go, man, there's nothing going on in Big Timber for 6 months, all the way through the busy season. And so those are the little things you have to pay attention to, because and by the way, I don't want anybody throwing anybody under the bus. These are about things you do to make it better. You know, and so I want to make sure that people might say, oh man, Roger was harsh on us. But this is what people are going to see. And these are just things you can do to make it better. And there's a lot of them. And so, I mean, we're at number 6. And by the way, we're going to go to about 80. So I didn't just pick on the city. And I promise it'll go by fast. But you know, we're working in Wisconsin in a little town called Waupun. It's near Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And I went to their website. We were assessing that area. And look what they did. Government, services, residents, business, and visitors. your city website do that. And then when you go to visitors, you can put, here's our history and things, and then maybe link over to the chamber website or whatever. But this is their homepage right here. I love Waupun. We are a cool little city. I mean, this is their city website. Your city website should look modern. It should have a lot of photography on it. It should talk about you. But on that home page, right there is a video. So let me show you this.
Hey folks, it's Craig from the Fond du Lac and Lake Winnebago Region Visitors Bureau. We are here today as part of our series exploring our neighboring communities. Today we're in Waupun. Did you know Waupun is known as a city of sculpture? Let's go check more out. Did you know that Waupun is just a couple miles away from one of the major entry points to Horican Marsh, often referred to as the Everglades of the North? Did you know that Waupun has an awesome baseball complex hosting regional tournaments of all levels? Did you know that Waupun on the beautiful Rock River is home to the iconic End of the Trail sculpture, a fitting tribute to the Native American Indian? Did you know that Waupun is home to Goose End of the Trail Candy Shop, a fourth-generation business serving quality confections, handmade and homemade? Waupun, just another great reason to visit Fond du Lac and the Lake Winnebago region. Come on in.
So you can see what they did, but the city needs to start thinking that way, because this is how you build tax base. And tax base is how you get money to do things to improve the quality of life for your citizens. And then the other thing is, I really believe you need a tourism-specific website beyond that of the chamber website. And I will go through that. But when we were looking at these, we found Yellowstone Country, Montana. We looked at this website, the heart and soul of Yellowstone Country. So this is promoting numerous cities in the whole area. I went to the Big Timber, it tells you the story. Tip, don't miss Natural Bridges State Park. Live like a local. And so it's got some information, but it's pretty general. It wasn't enough for us to have any specifics of things to see and do. And it also promotes your competing communities. So this is a good website, but you also need one of your own. Here's the Big Timber, a successful agriculture area. This is the state's website. And one of the challenges we had with the state's website is that you'll see where it says anchor fitting. Notice that photograph. Oh, so we have that. Then we have anchor outfitting. But what happened is, a lot of these websites are meant for the community to input stuff in. And so you can see it over at Aberoska Inn has the same photo. Big Rock Fishing Access has the same photo. So they use the same photo, just plugged it in everywhere. And so because the community is not adding their information to the state's tourism website. And so those are the little challenges why you need your own. And then, another thing, in all your marketing, you need to answer questions. You need to provide details. And then finally, we went to the Chamber's website. We downloaded the magazine. We looked at area attractions. But here's what's missing in all these websites. If I come, and by the way, we'll go through, here's Great Cliff Mill right there, downtown Big Timber, Natural Bridge. But it's almost a website of lists more than the details. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. Got the Crazy Mountains. And by the way, in all the marketing materials, we couldn't find anybody saying there was anything to do in the Crazy Mountains. All everybody said, it's a beautiful view. I mean, nothing until something happened. But this is what you need to have. And by the way, Great Cliff has an amazing website. We'll get more into that. But here's what's missing and what you need to do is, if I come to Big Timber because you're one of the best trout fisheries in the world. I mean, yeah, you're competing with the Gallatin River and a couple others, but boy, you got the Boulder and the Yellowstone. But when I go to all these websites, what will I catch? Where do I get a fishing license? Is one even required? And how much is that fishing license? List the shops where I can get it. And what are the catch limits? And when are the fishing seasons? And what time of day is best? And what kind of bait should I use or flies should I use? And then is there a bait and tackle shop in town, an outfitter, a guide service? I mean, all of these things. And how do I get to specific fishing spots? You have a lot of them. Is there a place to park when we get there? And is there anything else I should know? We couldn't get any of that information. I'd have to go to 20 to 30 websites, Fish and Wildlife, Montana, or I have to dig all over the place to get that. And then the other thing you should do on your website, when you do your standalone website, is include a did you know or interesting facts. The best sales tool that we saw was in Beyond Yellowstone, the Yellowstone Country website. But what's funny, we ran into it before we got here, and then we tried to find it again. And both Jane and I were on the computer for hours trying to find that list. And we finally found it, but it wasn't under Big Timber. It was under the county. But what it said is Robert Redford filmed his famous horse whisperer in Sweetgrass County. Western photographer Barbara Van Cleve is here. Great Cliff Prairie Dog Stand is precisely what it sounds like. A portion of River Run was filmed here. The rifle used in Quiddly Down Under. All these cool little things. I'm going through it really fast here. The Carnegie Library was actually provided with funds from Andrew Carnegie. These are all, this whole list here went, we got to go there and check it out. But once again, we have to go look at the county, we have to look at the city, and they're separate. And then the next thing I would do with all this, but we love that list. I was like, that's so cool. I love Quigley Down There. It's one of my favorite movies. The fact that rifle he was using was actually made here, and I heard Tom Selleck actually came here to learn how to use it. So those are those kinds of things that are pretty cool, but we had to dig for it, and we found it, but then we couldn't re-find it because we were looking for Big Timber, not the county. Now, another thing I would do is I would create a hashtag. Now, it doesn't have to be that one, but we thought that one would be easy for people to spell, remember, and everything. I mean, I kept thinking, you got the crazy mountains. I kept thinking doing a picture of Big Timber and put insanely beautiful. Those are the kind of things you could do. But what happens is, when we go on Facebook, when we go on Instagram, when we go on TikTok, when we go on social media, what happens is you don't have a hashtag, so we just make up our own. We might make up a hashtag that says Big Timber MT. Or another one just says hashtag Big Timber. Or another one says hashtag Big Timber Montana spelled out. They don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if you had it consistently? So if we go back to your gateway entry, I snuck out there last night and did it for you. There you go. No, I didn't. But I think you should do that. Share your experience. So if you see that, just put it right there. Let people know where to share their experience about Big Timber, and it'll boost you on all social media, on Instagram, and all these places. But do your hashtag and put it there. Put it on those signs. I would do on both ends of the I-90 exits. And then I would develop those, and whatever it is. I did Big Timber Crazy because I thought it would be cool, it'd be fun. People would go, what the heck? And they would learn about it by seeing the photographs and everything. But whatever it is, pick it and start to use it. Because the next thing we do is we do spend time going on YouTube. Here's Big Timber, Montana. That's a walking tour. It's 45 minutes long of a guy walking. I'm supposed to exercise to it. There's another Crazy Mountains, Montana, Boundless episode. I'm going to show that one a little bit. Visit Big Timber, Sweetgrass County. These are all 3,700 views. Remember, people going here, they want to hear from other people. Those are called influencers. And I really believe you need to promote the crazy mountains more than they're really pretty. You're in Montana, there's a lot of mountains everywhere. And then, so when we got here, so that kind of is our marketing and everything. We pulled in on Sunday. Granted, it was Easter Sunday. I did not expect the Visitor Information Center to be closed. That's the car. By the way, we hail from Spokane, Washington, so we're just down I-90. My car is in the shop, so we rented a car My car's not out of the shop. I went, oh my God, we're gonna go to Big Timber, and this car has California plates on it. I wonder how many days it'll be before we get shot at. You know how it is. We lived in Phoenix for 10 years, and yeah, Southern California was moving that way. So anyway, we went there, we looked at information, and I'm going to get more into this. But there was no visitor for all those brochure racks are empty. There's no information. There's information around that, but it's general in purpose. And so we couldn't really use anything. We didn't expect to be open on Easter Sunday, but we went back on Monday. We went back on Tuesday. We went back. It hasn't been open. Now, on day 4 of being here, on that Wednesday, we went over and had breakfast at the coffee stop. Who's from the coffee stop? Oh, right there.
I don't know, what do you think about it?
You were awesome. She came over to our table and she started, was it you? Told us all about the Crazy Mountains. She said, did you know you can go up there? The roads are kind of rough. There may be snow up there this time of year. Did you know there's people that kayak off these waterfalls? We didn't even know there's waterfalls up there. She goes, there's lots of trails. She did more to sell us on the White Mountains than any other person in all of Big Timber. Isn't that awesome? And so we went there, and so we said, you know, based on what she said, we're going there. Because there was not even any directions. I mean, what do? Do you tell Google just to take me to the White Mountains, and where is it going to take you? I mean, the Crazy Mountains, White Mountains. The Crazy Mountains, they were white. And so we decided, based on her, to go up there and really test our Audi Quattro rental car. And so we did. But you know what? Just by her little time talking to us is another day we should be spending, is another day to spend in Montana, in Big Timber. Another day. You know what? Overnight visitors spend 3 times more than a day visitor. So she convinced, her little spiel was enough to convince us that we should stay here longer. I mean, we already were doing assessment, but if we're a regular visitor, we said, yeah, we got to check that out. So we drove all the way up there. The roads were actually really good. I mean, Half Noon, Camp Big Timber Canyon, Picnic Area, went all the way. We went through a couple areas that were pretty darn scary. One was mud about this deep. If you look at our car, it's a California plates and it's covered with mud, which no Californian would really do. Just kidding. We went all the way up there, and the Lazy K-Bar Ranch, and I went, where's the distillery? But you know what? We've watched Yellowstone, but I didn't realize the distillery and everything. But she did such a good job that we took it. But you can see where the mud is after the cattle guard. I mean, it got in some places we had to kind of drive through a lake. We saw cabins up there. They're putting new roofs on them. I mean, it was stunning. We could have spent the whole day doing it. And so we drove all the way there to that, and then we came back and we said, we got to check this out. We did not go the last 4 miles to where there are the waterfalls in it because it started getting a little bit dicey and we're not in a Jeep or 4-wheel drive. And we had a lot of assessing to still do. But so we saw this.
At some point in my life, I asked a bunch of people what they would do if they had $1 million. And it's funny because 9 out of 10 people say that they would travel. It's just kind of like a dream come true, you know, being able to check out these amazing places. My name is Rafa Ortiz, and I'm a professional whitewater kayaker. For this trip, we're heading to the mountains in Montana. We're looking for this small creek called Big Timber. Yeah, we're kind of excited. It's supposed to be a really quality creek, and it's always exciting getting on a new river.
And I'm not going to show the whole thing. It's about 7 minutes long, but go to YouTube and check it out. These guys kayak down those waterfalls. And Mary told us about that. We went, no.
Level.
And there it was.
So it's affected by temperature when snow melts. but it's also affected by rain. We have some rain right now, so until we get out there and kind of see it with our own eyes, we won't really know if it's going to be possible or not. Every single river is different, and each one has its different dangers and challenges.
They're
There's
kayaking down there. I
different
just can't even
places. There's
imagine.
big rocks. So in order to mitigate risk, we spend a lot of time studying these rapids, scouting them out, looking at them from every angle we can, and just basically spending a lot of time to make a very good decision. So right at the end of the run, there's this big slide into a waterfall called Big Timber Falls. It's kind of unique, kind of especially challenging. Gnarly, it's fast, it's scary, but it goes.
I would never do it.
Yeah, just gotta buck up and get in there.
I'll do just a couple more, man. It's you have to go see it.
I'm
It's like 7
man,
minutes.
but I've spent so much time in my kayak in the water that just connected to the river, and I've just been in this really cool state where I'm like just pressing, right there. There's no problems. There's nothing else but me, my kayak, and the challenge ahead.
Well done, huh? Want me to keep showing it? Okay. This video alone did more to sell Big Timber, not because I want to go do it. I want to go watch somebody do it.
Very gnar.
I have no idea how they can stay upright. Is he yet?
So we just ran the upper section, and it was mind-blowing. We ran these like crazy big slides and really
And there's more to that. You gotta watch it because then they do the lower section, which has the biggest waterfall. But because of our having breakfast at the coffee stop, we actually sold us. So the fort should go over to the coffee shop and thank Mary, because we went in there and we had to buy $100 bottle of, what is it, Lazy K Bar Ranch bourbon or whiskey. And it's awesome. It's all leather and everything. And I know it's probably made in Kentucky or somewhere, but it's part here, and we had to go find it in there. But that's how important, and luckily you do have on your sign outside visitor information, and she had it. So that was really good. So that was good. So finally, visitor information should be working 24/7. Now, if we go over to the Chamber's website, it says, did you know the Chamber has a fully staffed visitor center? And I didn't read all the way down that says Memorial Day through Labor Day. But I will tell you that every single day we've been here, there's been people in that parking lot looking for information every day. And so what you need to do is be able to add 24/7 visitor information. I would put some kind of a kiosk right there that has brochures into it. And one of my favorite ones we saw in North Platte, Nebraska. You could see it to the door there. But I thought, man, if you could do one of those here, and maybe do the Montana State Guide there, do a very best of Big Timber. I'm going to tell you more about that. And maybe another one would be an RV guide, and I'll tell you more about that. So it wouldn't be the big magazine over on the right there, but you could do some kind, and the lid lifts up so it's weatherproof, but people should be getting 24-hour visitor information. Because this time we were there and we see these and it's got some good general information, but you know what? We've got the brochure holders and I understand, they're starting to get a little bit tired and they're all empty. And so you can remove these and just put one undercover on the porch that has visitor information. We want something with specifics. And we'll talk about that. And then, or you could put out here, maybe you would include this. This is the fishing guide on all of this. And I'll tell you how we got that and where we got it. And then number 3, the days of Memorial Day to Labor Day ended about 30 years ago. The peak months, particularly for boomers and Gen Xers, is April, May, September, and October. This whole Memorial Day to Labor Day, done, gone, long gone. The people with the most amount of spending power are traveling in the spring and in the fall. Because they don't want to be there when 4 million of the 4.5 million people are going into Yellowstone. I mean, we did this, we actually worked in in West Yellowstone last year. And we even had to get them out of that. But they have started to see it because they're right there at that gateway. And so every day we saw people there, we go, man, we got to stretch your season. You got to start even if it's mid-April, and then through October, fall color, all of those things. So our experience was we arrived on Easter Sunday. First thing, we pull off the freeway, rats, no information. We drive all over town. There's not one single restaurant open anywhere. We got here at dinner time on Easter. We even went to the Timber Bar. It was open. And they said, our kitchen's closed today. We had takeout meals, but we ran out of them. It's pretty bad when you come into a town, and granted, it's Easter Sunday, so I'm not saying everybody should be open on Easter Sunday from now on at all. But it was just our luck. And I guess it's better than nothing when you have dinner there. So we did check in to the Super 8. The rooms are really nice. But I got to tell you that before COVID, I traveled 250 days a year for decades. I mean, I practically lived in hotels. This was the very first time in my entire 40-some year career where we walked into a hotel where we're staying for a week and they said, I'm sorry, we don't have any hangers. You might run over to the dollar store and buy some. It's Easter, they're closed too. I mean, I just go, you're renting rooms without hangers? And so those I don't think I'd rent the room. We're here for a week and we're wearing some dress clothes. We've got to hang stuff up. And so now they have ordered them. We went, and the people there are very, very nice. But that was the first time out of thousands of hotels and hotel stays I was ever told that. Luckily, we had brought some hangers with us because there's never enough. But in this case, and then we had to go back down and say, there's no coffee maker, there's no coffee, there's no hairdryer. I need a hairdryer. Okay, Jane needs a hairdryer. Now, luckily, the gal there, she went and scrounged them up and brought them up to our room, which was very nice. The people are very nice, but that just we were like, whoa, okay. The rooms, the way they've done it with the photography and the beds are nice. Their remodeling is really nice. And they've done a really good job. And really good people there. But that one just okay, well, this is not off to a really good start. The hotel's fine. And having a sandwich, wrapped in saran wrap for Easter dinner wasn't exactly the top of our list. But then came the next morning. So we thought, okay, let's do the out-of-town stuff first. So we drove right over to Gray Cliff Prairie Dog Town State Park, and we drove up and rats. You know, there should be a sign that says when it's open. We didn't know whether they're open in Memorial Day, Labor Day. We didn't know. Luckily, there was a little sign there that said you can walk in during the off season. You walk around there. So that's what we did. We walked in. We did see the kiosk here. But this kiosk is about park fees, maps of state parks all over the state. And there's no information about prairie dogs. And there's no information that says, I mean, we can see this road going up there, but we don't know if it's a quarter mile long or 5 miles long. We have no idea. There's no information. And to their credit, when we finally got back, we went to their website, and it's a 98-acre park, and we just didn't do this first. Remember, we're at all these websites. We're trying to figure this all out, and the website is actually really well done, and it's got about the park, activities, amenities, seasons, and hours. And then we did the seasons and hours. It says it opens April 1st. Or no, we're closed through April 1st. We're there on April 1st. So we did make a second trip there and go back. And yes, on April 2nd, it was open. And then once we drove in, we could see the interpretive signs. If there would have been a sign at the bottom that says, by the way, if you just walk in about, a 3-minute walk on the paved road, you'll come to more interpretive signage about the prairie dogs. And by the way, the website says they come out in mid-May. Well, when we were there the other day, it was, 65 degrees, and we really appreciated them putting on an early show just for us. So we were there 1st of April, and there they were out. And so that was great. However, it would have been great if we would have known that in advance. See what I mean? Once again, details, 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 without having to go to a gazillion websites. And so that brings me to doing a brochure. I want you to do a brochure, 4 inches by 9 inches. That's what this is. The very best of Big Timber. And this rack brochure would be your main marketing piece. This is one they did in Alpena, Michigan. Always promote your best ofs. No lodging would be in here because we want the number one asked question at a front desk is, where's a good place to eat? Please don't hand me a list. And lodging typically won't hand these out if they have their competitors in there. So we leave the lodging out of this. And instead, we promote your restaurants, your retail shops, your activities, your amenities. And so in Alpena, Michigan, they even have, you see Roger Bush there. They even did a thing for me because they didn't want to play the politics of promoting the best ofs, because we might leave somebody out. But what they did is they did this brochure. I'm holding it in my hand. Here it is. You're seeing all the different things. The very best of Alpena, Michigan, which, by the way, is a town of about 10,000. These are local shops, and they do have criteria for them. And each of these shops were invited. They all had good reviews. I'll tell you about the criteria in a minute. They all had good reviews, and they each paid about $400. However, the Stony Acres Winery, we could keep going. Art in the Loft. I mean, the Besser Museum was really struggling. Their museum was really, they didn't have $400. Well, there was enough from everybody else to cover them being in there because we thought it was important. And so here's what they did. So they put together this brochure. You design your own. They designed this one. And then what you do, I would also add a panel with those 10 fun facts about Big Timber, because I think it's really cool, your history and the films and everything that have taken place here. I think are all really cool. But here's what they did. In their county, they have 30,000 residents, which is about 10,000 homes. They mailed one of these to every single one of their residents in their county with a card. There's a little card the same size as this, and it said on it, The number one reason people travel, visit friends and family. We hope you'll hang on to this brochure so that when your visitors arrive, you will show them the best of what Big Timber has to offer. After all, we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, people were coming downtown. They'd walk into Myers Fashions and go, I got this in the mail. I didn't know you were here. How long have you been here? And the merchant would go, 10 years. Because like you, they were going to the bigger cities, you know. For you, Bozeman, Billings, you know. I mean, this is one they did in Wausau, Wisconsin. So it could look however you wanted to look. And so always promote your anchor tenants. I'm going to help you take the politics out of it, and we're going to identify them for you. There's a few we missed. So not every, there's like the coffee roasters, we missed going in there. And so, but there, and it might be a best of, but we identified as many as we can get into in our time here. But this is the best thing you do. You know what? When people use the internet, you know how they use it? First of all, they don't type in Big Timber. If you type in Big Timber and go, woo, Big Timber, Montana, we're number one, you're the only ones doing it. You know what they're doing? They're looking for the best hiking trails, the best waterfalls, the best scenic hikes in Montana, in central Montana, between Bozeman and Billings. They are looking for the best ofs. And if you don't provide it, that's why they go to TripAdvisor. That's why they look at Google reviews. If you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And so here's the criteria that you can use. This is what they used in Alpena. They must be open year-round, and I go at least 8 months. They had to be open 6 days a week. You know, they had to be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. Like 80% positive reviews, you know, on TripAdvisor, Google, any of the review sites, written up in regional publications. They should have good curb appeal. They should be open till at least 7 p.m. Okay, in Big Timber, we wouldn't have anybody in this, would we? But make it 6 p.m. then. You know, must be unique to Big Timber there, which means we're not going to put a Subway in there or a franchise. We want what's unique to you. You need to market maybe your top 6 restaurants, which pretty much everybody, retail shops. I mean, maybe attractions, must-do activities, some great amenities that you have here. And so you look at all of those. And then, come here. There we go. You can't let politics kill the effort. So far we've been here. It's Easter Sunday the next morning, and we're adding this to it because that's pretty cool out there. So there's one. Now, continuing on, we're on Monday. We're doing the out-of-town stuff, but we did come in for lunch. Or no, on Monday, before we went out there, we had breakfast at the bakery. My one suggestion for the bakery, by the way, really nice people, good food, the bakery, I mean, it's incredible. The one suggestion we had, if we're eating in, give us a paper plate. Why does everything have to be in a styrofoam to-go package? And I didn't understand that, but because obviously they must not have the washing equipment and everything, but I thought, because they say, are you eating in or eating out? But it all comes the same. And so we sat down, I thought, well, just give us a paper plate. You know, it's really hard to do your hash browns and eggs out of one of those plastic styrofoam things. But the food was good. That was our only thing was, if you eat in, we'll just give it to you on a plate. If you eat out. And so we started there. It was excellent. Loved it. It was pretty. The people, the gals working there, they were very nice. I mean, it was affordable. I loved the pizza oven right there. I went, man, we're going to have to come back for that. I mean, the photography on the wall. So I went, way to go. So we did do that. And then, you know, we actually did a reverse of that. But Big Timber Bakery, we'd absolutely put it out there. Now, going back out there by Prairie Dog Town, we did go to the rest stops. And one thing that drives me crazy in Montana is I wish the local community could adopt the rest stop and maybe put one of these in there. You know, because they all have, what they have is, so I thought if you could build a dozen of these and put one, particularly on the, coming from Billings, you know, on the westbound side of I-90 and maybe wherever the next one is down the road coming east, I think it'd be great if you did these and say, hey, we'll stock it, we'll do it if you let the community here, you know, and do something like this. Because we went in there to get information and we still don't have a Montana state map. We couldn't find one anywhere in Big Timber. I mean, there's no visitor information. And we want, you know what? The old-fashioned maps are coming back in style. They are. And so, but we couldn't do, I mean, who's going to walk in the visitor information? We snap a picture of that on our phone and then go out there and try to read it. I mean, there's nothing there other than restrooms. And so we wish there was someplace, a little brochure holder. And this was a really good one about Yellowstone country. It's got these. But the problem is people aren't going to stand there and read it. Or, you know, honey, could you grab the clipboard so we can write all this stuff down? See what I mean? No information. So that's something. By the way, I'll be keynoting at the Governor's Conference on Tourism in Missoula in less than 2 weeks. I hope they don't disinvite me now. But the point is, I wish we could take something with us. Because there isn't cell service everywhere. And when we're driving, we don't like to be on our phone. And we got beautiful scenery, so it's nice to have an actual map. And then, of course, while we were in the area, we did go to Great Cliff Mill. And we've been all over Montana extensively. And I think it's one of the state's best privately developed attractions, bar none. It is fantastic. I mean, all the timber, the craftsmanship, everything about it is fantastic. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, during COVID, we bought a big fifth wheel RV. We've RV'd through 40 states. And we actually were going to stay at Great Cliff Mill, but then we had friends that were coming a different day. They were heading east, we were heading west. We wanted to meet somewhere. And for some reason, we changed our harvest host, or we canceled our harvest host there, but they're a harvest host site. I'll tell you more about that. But in Great Cliff Mill, we went in there, and we look at the map with the pins of where people are from. Look at how many are on the East Coast. I mean, wow. And we just thought, that is so cool. They have a guest book, they got little pins, and of course, we stuck our pin there in the Spokane area with like 100 other pins in the same city. And, but we just thought that was really, really cool. Really nice place. I mean, you walk out back, it's got the cheese cave. Must be getting hungry. We walked over there. I mean, everything about this, we thought, okay, if we spent a whole day at the Crazy Mountains, we spend another at least half a day here. A person that wants to spend time in Big Timber should spend at least 3 days. Here's the thing about tourism. I'm sure a lot of you, the last thing you want is to get overrun. I mean, go to West Yellowstone. Go to Bozeman. See what I mean? But you know what I always say? Wouldn't it be cool if you had half as many visitors spending twice as much money and twice as much time? That's the ultimate goal. Because when we spend the night, we're eating 3 meals here. And probably the next morning before we even leave. And so we did go out there. We thought, man, you could spend at least half a day here. And I thought, man, we should see if they would let you put one of those brochure holders that promotes Big Timber as well. And Great Cliff Mill would be in the best ofs. I mean, we even, these are really cool. Young guy there took us up and he actually showed us a couple of these that weren't rented out. And I'm telling you, look at that, the bird's nest view up there. I mean, these are fantastic. And so we did see a couple of them. I mean, it's just so unique, and by the way, their website is outstanding. One thing I didn't find in here that I thought was a huge draw was we went over to the fiber arts area, and they have these looms. And did you know that for like $125, you could buy all the yarn you need, the different colors there, and you could make a shawl right there on the spot in 4 hours. If you've never used a loom before, they'll show you how to do it. Or you can make a dish towel. You can do all these. You can go there in their leather shop, so you learn something, which is what visitors love, and you can take it with you, which is awesome. I just thought it is absolutely fantastic. And so we had to put that there. But you know what was interesting? These ladies were there. They're not here this morning, are they? No, I don't see. Okay. These ladies were here. And of course, I'm walking with a big camera and everything. And they're going, where are you from? And what brings you here? We just started talking to them. And they said, you got to go down to the natural bridge. And by the way, you have to go past it to the ranger station and check out the ranger station. One of them said, we want to turn it into a museum. I guess they live down there. I said, well, where is it? You know, it's south of town. They did such a good job. They were like right up there with Mary. They're doing such a good job that we had to go check it out. Remember, we haven't even talked to anybody from a Chamber of Commerce yet. And these are people that live here are selling us that we didn't know. They wanted selfies and everything. And, you know, it was really fun. And then, so we're coming back in after doing that. We see these Pelican Fishing Access. They should always include the distance. Some of them do, but this one we didn't go down the road because I don't know whether it's a quarter of a mile or 25 miles. So they should all include distance. So then we came back in and we didn't get on I-90. We wanted to take like the frontage roads, you know, either north or south of the freeway. And we did go over there and we did see the KOA and even the RV. I said do a best of guide and RVer's guide. That's coming up. And I would even have it at every campground like the KOA. And by the way, we drove into the KOA and went, oh my gosh, we've stayed here before. Because we remember the dilapidated water park next door. I heard it's under new ownership, and hopefully that'll be coming out because that's what we remember. I mean, it was a nice RV. We went, oh my gosh, we actually stayed in Big Timber. We had no idea. There was no brochure like this to tell us to go to Big Timber. Can you imagine if we would have walked in there and say, by the way, while you're here, here's the very best of Big Timber. Because we were there for like 3 days, 2 nights. But for us, it was like, geez, Louise, we have been here. So here is that one, the next one. You need to do another brochure, same size as this. That would be an RVer's guide. The complete RV guide to beautiful Big Timber, Montana. By the way, that photo isn't you, but it would have campgrounds, dump station. It would have all that stuff. And you know what's good about this? All this is local spending. You know what? Here's the benefit of tourism besides getting people to want to live here. It's about getting to, you know what? You export, if you earn your money in Big Timber, and heaven forbid you ever go to Belgrade or Bozeman or Billings, that's called leakage. Tourism is the purest form to fill the gap of locally earned money spent somewhere else. And by the way, campgrounds, most of those other than like the state national forest campgrounds, you would pay to stay in. Where to get propane? There's a purchase. Where to purchase gas and diesel? There's another purchase. Where to find dump stations? Some of them are free, some of them charge. Where are the grocery stores? RV and camping supplies, hardware stores, visitor information. And then provide like top 3 hiking trails. The number 1 activity of RVers is hiking and walking dogs. 70% RVers have pets with them. And then local is there a local co-working space where we can go get Wi-Fi? Maybe it's a library, I don't know. Attractions could be in there. So this combined with this, because you know what? In all the years that we've been RVing through I-90 and we've driven by here, and all these times, every time we drove by Great Club, we said, one of these times we got to stop here. We finally got our chance. But I didn't realize it was so close to Big Timber, just 6 miles down the road or so. And so we did do that, and we were here before, but boy, would it have been nice to have that. So 2 brochures. And by the way, the grocery store said, well, I'll pay for a panel in here. You're going to put us in there. Ace Hardware, they might say, well, yeah, we'll do a panel. See, this is even kind of self-funding. And so all of these things could be in there. And so distributed to the Forest Service campgrounds as well. We'll get more into that. But once we drove down in, I went, oh my gosh, we did stay here. And so you can also link to RV YouTuber videos. I can't believe how many YouTube videos there are for RVers, how channels and everything. This is all the marketing that needs to be done. And invite them in RV influencers, because when we're driving, we did stay at the hot springs in Bozeman one time passing through. But generally speaking, RVers, we don't want to be in the cities. We want to be in Big Timber. Number 1, you're right in between them. Number 2, it's less expensive there. Number 3, it's less crowded. We don't have to worry about traffic with big rigs, on and on. And then make sure your campgrounds are listed on RV apps. This is Campendium. It's like TripAdvisor for campgrounds. And so, and by the way, this presentation, Monty has been our main contact, but I'll make sure the chamber, I'll make sure you guys will actually have all these slides. You say, Roger, can we get some of those slides so that you had some ideas for us as businesses that we could do. So we're going to be giving them this presentation and PDFs of it. And so, once again, that RV guide, go there. Of course, it wouldn't be a magazine format, but it would be over on that side and another one, a rack brochure side. And then, by the way, I talked about Harvest Host. Harvest Host is a organization that we as RVers pay I think it's 90 or $100 a year. It allows people with a self-contained rig to stay one night for free. No power, no water, no dump. You can go there. You have to be self-contained, no tents, and will allow you to stay there overnight for free. And you go online, and you might have 1 space, you might have 5 spaces. And Great Cliff Mill does it. When you drive in there with a big rig, they have signs, Harvest Host, go this way. So they tell you how to go in there, back in there. And you can't, when we were over in the crash shop, I can't believe they said, you don't know how many people come here overnight for free, and they're eating over in our cafe. They're making their quilts or whatever gear, or iPad cases out of leather, whatever they're doing there, and they're staying there for free. But when you belong to Harvest Host, we as a Harvest Host member, when we stay at a Harvest Host site, we're encouraged to donate something. Sometimes it's church parking lot. The church will put out a little donation box. You don't have to, but us and most Harvest Host people staying in them will leave $5 for the church or $10, or at a museum. And by the way, there's thousands of these Harvest Host sites, 1,300 wineries, breweries, farms, and more, golf courses. I mean, we think that even your museum, you might say, we have room to fit like 2, and then people are going to donate and they're going to visit you. I mean, we think that Beats of Montana, downtown spots, if there's room, maybe there's even room at the visitor center for a couple of them. Remember, they have to stay self-contained. It doesn't cost you anything. We pay for it. And so we did see the golf course. We thought, man, I'm not sure when their season starts. They should probably add it to the sign. And by the way, we went there one day, they were closed. The next day they were open. So they're already open. But it would have been nice to have that on the sign. Always invite us back. It looks like it's going to be a great course. There was plenty of room. I thought, man, that ought to be a Harvest Host site. And the one thing about here with the golf course, is it open for public play?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is it 9 or 18 holes? 9. Do they have a pro shop? Can you rent carts and clubs?
Yes.
Oh, do they have lessons or pros?
Yes.
No information. There should be a sign. If I go back to that, I would just put a sign over here that just says, beautiful 9 holes, club and cart rentals. Do they have a restaurant or food? No, okay. But they can put that on there, open for public play. Just no information. Looks like a nice course. It looks like it's pretty. We got water down there. It just looks great. And it looked like they had room for a harvest host. I thought that would be pretty cool. And it's nice that you have that. Added them to the list. Then for lunch, we felt so sorry for the Iron Star Pizza Company. The parking. There's no signs. They basically, out here on the curb, have 3 spaces. We went by there 4 times and never ate there because there was only 3 spaces. There's 3 cars. Where are you going to park? I know it's temporary. We walked in there and said, well, we feel so bad for you. And they said, this has been going on for years. I went, oh my God, that's what they said. So I'm just telling, and I thought, man, it's too bad the city or somebody doesn't put out a sign that says, hey, temporary parking. Can we park at the place across the street? There's a car wash. There's the other place with all the antique. We couldn't go down that street. I don't know where, and there's houses right behind it. We didn't know what to do. But we finally got there, and there was 3 cars there. I parked right next to the curb, where the street is closed, and said, well, hopefully they're not going to come and take up my car because I parked in the yellow painted zone or red zone. But we did eat there. It was very nice, great pizza. But there was something on the wall that really, I went, this is big timber. When is the last time you did something for the first time? Jane is looking forward to coming back on her own time, our own dime, to go over there and make that shawl. She's never done that before. Or whether you're going to go out, so we're going to go out fly fishing. I've never done it before. I thought, wouldn't that be cool for Big Timber? Try something that you've never done before and you could do it in Big Timber. Kayaking down that, no. Not me anyway. But I just thought that really kind of hit home. I said, that would be really cool. When's the last time you did something like that? And so we absolutely put Iron Star Pizza Company on there. And then after lunch, we're driving around and we said, oh, we got to go check out the Shiloh Rifle Company over here. And so we drove up, and it was like 4:30 or so by then, and we drove up. There's nothing on the doors. There's nothing there. We're sitting there going, I'm not even sure it's ever even open to the public. No real information or anything. And what was really interesting is a guy drove by in a pickup truck as we were going to leave. He rolls down his window. This is how helpful your people are. He rolls down the window and say, hey, were you looking to go in there? And go, well, we didn't know. And he goes, no, they have a showroom in there, and it's really cool. They got the rifles there. You can pick up a catalog. I said, well, is it ever open to the public? He goes, yeah, you just need to come back earlier in the day. I think they work like 8 to 4, 7 to 4. I don't know what their hours are. He said, but come back tomorrow. It's worth it. This is, I just want, these people are so, that was one of the things that really struck us about Big Timber was how genuinely friendly and helpful people were here. Now, don't go out there and say, we're the friendliest town in Montana. But out of doing this 2,500 towns, I have to tell you that I don't think we've ever been in a town where we had as many locals helping us out than we did Big Timber, ever, in more than 40 years of doing this. And maybe they saw the California plates and felt sorry for it. Or if we would have had any other state on the plates, maybe we would have even gotten better help or more of it. Anyway, so that was so cool that he did that because, once again, no information or not enough information. But then we drove down to this, and we're not sure, do these people also make rifles? They do. Do they have a showroom? Is it open to the public? No clue, no information, nothing on the doors. We did not go in this one because we had no clue. This is what's missing. And so I'll get back to Shiloh Sharps in a bit. But then what we did is, it was a great day. We went all over the place. We did have dinner at the Timber Bar, and that was great. And this time the kitchen was open. And so there's our Monday. On Tuesday we got up and we said, let's go out to the bakery. So we did that. And then this time, because the ladies were met at Great Cliff, we're going to head south to the Natural Bridge. And we can see we did go by Spring Creek Campground. There's one campground that knows how to do signs. We saw them everywhere. And we did actually drive down in there, and it looks like a great place. And by the way, they're doing a lot of work, and they're adding more hookups. We can see the sewer lines there, and it looks like, I mean, you could camp right on the river, which is really cool. That was really nice to see that. Another great place to put the very best of Big Timber, so that people are heading south, not just getting back on the freeway. If we had this or the RV guide, we'd provision up in Big Timber, not Bozeman, not Billings. And we'd want to come into town. And so we kept going all the way down there, camp on the Boulder, Clydehurst. We went all the way down there. Roads were fine. And we did go past it, and we did go find the ranger station. And there was information there, and I thought it'd be really cool, even if there was a brochure holder right here, because the ranger station, it's not in use anymore, right? Right, okay. Nobody knows. Oh, 3 people know.
It's staffed in the summer, open as a museum.
What's that?
It's staffed in the summer and open as a museum.
Okay.
On the weekends.
No information. See, we didn't go up there because there's no cars up there, but down here there should have been said, by the way, we're open Memorial Day or Labor Day or whatever it is. But always, my words are, invite us back. If you're closed and we're here in April, invite us back. By the way, if you're wondering why we're doing this at the beginning of April instead in your peak season, because this should be the beginning of your peak season. Number 2, as Bonnie said, you're applying for a grant. It's due in like 2 weeks. And they need this so they know what they're applying for. That's why we're here. But a great place for reservation kiosk. The best of the RV guide, maybe the state guide. So we did go back in and we did go to Natural Bridge Falls, and we did pull in there and looked at that. And this was one of having taken hundreds of thousands of photographs over all these years, it was almost impossible for me. This is a place you have to see. You can't just see it in a picture because the river goes underground. But when we went there, it had good information. It had the wash. And in your website, don't just promote the activity, the falls, the river. You got to promote that it's paved, that we have pit toilets, they were open. These are the kinds of pictures you have. And by the way, the walkways, the bridges, these lookouts, this place, even just this, all by itself, is a work of art. You know what it took to build that? To build those little lookouts and put in the flagstone on the steps and put in these little, it was just phenomenal. You can't capture it in pictures, but when you promote these places on your website or even in little YouTube videos, you need to show them pictures like this so they can see what's access like. Can I do it for handicap, or can I do it with a stroller? Or is it easy if I have to have a cane? Whatever. And so it's really a great site. And the ladies warned us that you're seeing it when the water's at its lowest. So we got the whole idea, and I loved the signage. Where's the Natural Bridge that fell down in 1988? That was good information. It showed right where it was. The migrating waterfall, there it is when it's like 110 feet tall, and then it shows it way down there where it's coming underground. It was a great experience, even with this. Where's the river? And it's one of those things you just got to go visit. I love the way it goes. I kept going, I wonder if anybody's tried to go underwater through there. And, I don't know. If they did, they probably are still in there somewhere, right? But I mean, when I saw how far underwater it went, I went, whoa, that's really there. But really, really a cool thing, and it has to be on your best of the list. So there's half a day. As a matter of fact, you know what I would do is I tell people, when you go down the Natural Bridge, there is I'll never forget the name of it, the Roadkill Saloon. I think that's on the way, right?
Yep.
And do they serve food? Is it good? So what you could do is when you promote the falls, you can say, by the way, either go over to the grocery store or go to the bakery, get yourself a lunch, and take a picnic lunch down there with you. Plan on spending half a day, or you can eat at the Roadkill Saloon on the way down there. We didn't because we were trying to stay more in Big Timber, but I'll never forget the name of it. You know, it just went by and made me laugh. So we did that. But that's what I mean. We're promoting commerce on our way. So you're monetizing these assets. And then, of course, we went to the airport, and I kept going, is there anybody that does scenic flights here or glider lessons or anything? If not, maybe there's a business opportunity. I mean, I used to do gliding, and you have the lifts here, you know, all these valleys around you. I kept going, man, there's a business opportunity to take people up on glider flights. And so I thought, wow, because it's a nice little airport, and there's no information about whether, well, if somebody flies in, is there any place they could call to get a ride into town? There is, see, but no information. There's a car up there that you can borrow. It's a courtesy car, okay. And do you call somebody to give you the keys to it, or? So there is somebody there working usually, but it's not an FBO, which is a fixed base operation. Oh, it is. See, we didn't even know that. And so this is all the information that's missing when we're on all your websites and everything. And so we did go there, and then we decided, museum, got to go to the museum. Great, I'm sure they're not going to do this Memorial Day to Labor Day. Great sign, went up there, and by the way, it looks awesome. Don't ever use closed. Merchants either. When you say closed, it means go away. What you should do, and by the way, it says it'll be open on Memorial Day of 2023. So will it be open after Memorial Day in 2024? But would it be great if instead of that, you did that? By the way, I changed the dates. Better get your volunteers really quick. No, I did, but I mean that, you know, and I know how hard it is for museums, but even if you did May 1st through October through September, even stretch your seasons. It looks like a fantastic museum. It had great reviews. We walked around the log cabin, the little chapel. It would have been nice if there was interpretive signs about those buildings. We did read all about, it was cool that we finally figured out, I go, well, we always hear about Lewis and Clark, but here, all I ever hear about is Clark. Because they split up, they came back, and he's the one that went through Big Timber. Well, now we know. So that story was there. So that was great with those kiosks. And of course, it's on our list of best ofs. But right here, got a brochure holder. Of course, there's nothing in it. You guys don't like putting out brochures. But I thought, man, this post, can you imagine that post at every U.S. Forest Service campground with just the RV guide in it or the best of guide in it? I thought, man, maybe we do some of those where we don't have room to put for 3 different brochures. You could do that. So then we came in and for lunch, we ate at the Thirsty Turtle. Now, we had been here a couple times before, and there's no hours or days on any doors. We don't know when they're open. Oh, they don't either. Okay. Well, now, I I don't like being mean, but when we went in, and it was open this day, but once again, it doesn't say we're closed on Sunday and Mondays or anything. There's just no hours. You just have to kind of guess. And a lot of your businesses do that. I mean, it was really frustrating for us as visitors. Monday was almost as bad as Easter Sunday. But we went in, the gal that waited on us was very nice. The food was good. But when she handed us a menu, there may be a wait. There's limited seating. We may ask you to use your table. No personal checks, no separate checks, no menu changes, no subtracting, no special requests, no substitutions. Don't ask the server for this and this. Look at that. We almost walked out. I just went, wow. I have 40-some years eaten at tens of thousands of restaurants. I've never seen that. And then they even start apologizing. We've had to make hard decisions. You know, we are thankful to be here for you. Well, it's not about you, it's about us. But that just, you know, we have to keep it easy. Please don't ask the server to go ask the cook if you can change things. You already said that. It's not an option at this time. We apologize if this doesn't work for you. We do accommodate food allergies. Inform your server. You know, and we appreciate your understanding, but groups of 6 or more, no separate checks. I mean, if you're 6 or more, it's going to be 18% tip no matter what. I mean, it was like, wow. Because of that, I really kind of debated whether we would even put them on the list, but I thought we really need to. It was good food, and the people there were nice. It's just that, I mean, even outside, you pull up, it says, no campers or trailers in parking lot. What I would do, big rigs, please park down the road, tell us where we can go if we want to eat there. But it was just like, no. And it was way over the top, I thought. So anyway, this is why when we're done doing these, we have to leave town really quick. Especially now that everybody knows we're the car with the California plates. So we did have lunch there, and the food was good. The person that waited on us was good. She was great, very nice. When you leave, it says thank you so much for visiting. So it wasn't all bad, but it's just hard when somebody sits you down, they hand you a menu, and you get list of rules before you can even look at what they sell. So, Big Rock, we saw the distance. This sign did not have and then we said, but this one does. So 3.5, they should all have the distance. So we thought, okay, 3.5 miles, we'll do that. That's not so far. So we did drive down there. We saw this. Once again, wouldn't it be great, even if you mounted those little real estate, those little brochure holders, just for the RVer's guide or the best of? I mean, how many people are coming to Big Timber, they're fishing, then they're leaving. They're not spending money. And so it's a beautiful site. It does have a few campsites there. But wow, we thought that would be great. And once again, it even has the pit toilet there for you, and it was unlocked. And it was serviced. By the way, when you go in there, it says, by the way, these are only periodically serviced. But it had toilet paper in there. It was clean. Of course, we're here the beginning of April. But that was great that it wasn't locked up. We expected it to be locked up. Then we came into town and said, okay, we see all these fishing sites everywhere. And so we went in to Sweetcast Angler. And this was really cool. Adam, I'm sure he's the owner. He spent probably an hour with us. We did not spend a dime there. We know nothing about fly, but he said, he took us through the whole thing. He says, I said, we're just like amateurs. We don't know, I mean, I was in West Yellowstone. I went to like 4 of their fly shops, and they're trying to sell me $1,000 rods, and they just had order takers behind the counter. Now people in West Yellowstone say, Roger, would you say that about us? But Adam said, you don't need, if I was you, he watches back. He goes, I'd start with a number 5 or a number 6 rod. We didn't even know that. Here's one for like $100, $100, $200. And then the reels, and you have this leader line. He took us through the whole thing. He said, for $200, you can be outfitted And they told us about the flies, the time of year where they're above the water and the nymphs below the water. He did all of that, and he says, and I do classes. It charges like $10. And you go into his room, and he did. So when we come back, my wife is going to be over there making her shawl. I will be out on the river with Adam. See what I mean? And so when we come back, I will purchase all our gear from him. Just because he took that time, he didn't expect anything from us, and he does the guide services. And so we did check out his website, and it's all about we. He never mentions his name here. And I would tell Adam, when I talk to him, I say, you need to promote you. You're the guy. When we hire a guide service, it's about you, not your company. He says we, and maybe he has other guides that he works with or whatever, but I thought he should talk about him because you know what? He used to work for the fishery. He was a teacher. He told us his pedigree, so to speak, and I was really impressed. I'm going, man, this is the guy. And so I think he needs to promote that. And then when it comes to reviews, 4.7 out of 5. There was only one person did a kind of a bad review that he didn't respond to. But everybody else says, my husband had a fantastic day on the Boulder River with Will last month. So there must be another guy. He was very fun and knowledgeable. Another one, without a doubt, my first float, my 5 fishing day was far better than any expectations I could have imagined because of Adam. It was fantastic. And talk about try something you've never done before, do it in Big Timber. This would be on that list. He can take you to wherever you want. You want a lake? Do you want the Boulder River? Do you want creek fishing? Do you want to be in a boat? Do you want to be in waders? Do you want to be, how do you want to do it? And so absolutely. I thought it was great. And nice shot, by the way. And then while we're driving around, we did see this. Is this open to the public? Nobody knows. If so, then put a sign. If not, okay, we didn't go in because we didn't know. And then, I got to tell you, there is a fast-growing trend across the country. And that is people buying beef, pork, and poultry direct from growers instead of the grocery store. Matter of fact, we bought a freezer just so we could buy an 1/8 of a beef. And the one we bought, our daughter found this place. They're in Indiana. I'm going, Indiana? Man, we should be buying our stuff from Montana. It's two states over if you count the little sliver of the Idaho Panhandle. And so we saw Pioneer Meats. And I went, okay, let's drive down there. And I'm not, it says it's open there, but I'm not sure if it's open to the public. Wasn't too sure. We didn't go in because we weren't too sure. We couldn't get information. See what I mean by what's missing? But you might say, well, how is Pioneer Meats a tourist attraction? Well, you know what? Who cares? If it will get somebody from Washington State to buy beef from your farm and ship it, which they do, why wouldn't I buy it from Montana versus Indiana? This is what you're known for. So we didn't go in there, and I wasn't too sure how it worked, but we thought we wrote down information so we could try to get a hold of them. While we were there, we saw the sign to Otter Creek, and I went, Otter Creek, and it says fishing access. To barely read it. Can you read it? This is if you get out of your car, walk right up to the sign and go, fishing access. Oh, no distance, but we did go down there. We drove down there and went, oh my God. We texted our friends. They were heading east. We were heading west. We met and spent the night at Otter Creek. We'd been in Big Timber twice. Had no clue. And so we texted and said, yeah, that was Otter Creek. Remember, we parked over by the fence, right by the river. And I went, ah. So here we'd been in Big Timber twice. If we would have had those 2 brochures, I guarantee you we would have done propane, rather than say, well, when we get to Billings, when we get to Bozeman, whichever way we were going, we would have done it in Big Timber. That's how important these two simple little brochures are. So having that mounted right there, a little brochure holder with the very best of Big Timber and the RVer's Guide to Big Timber. I mean, you have numerous of these places. And so while we're out there, there was another one that you wouldn't think of normally as a tourism asset, and that is Yellowstone Feed. That is the coolest place. Because we happen to live on some anchorage, and we have a herd of white-tailed deer that we feed in the winter. And the reason we have to spend all the money buying this sweet cob with molasses is because my wife named our place Deer Run, and we have to deliver on the promise. But anyway, we went in there, and I thought, number one, they bagged the cob with molasses without. They have the dogs. I even thought for people that have dogs and their RVers and everything, now they don't ship, which is too bad. I mean, they don't have that all set up. But it's an amazing store to just walk in. And the thing I like about it, it makes you truly authentic. That you have a feed store. It's not meant for all visitors to go browsing around in there. I mean, you know, it's hard to find our way. You have to go over in the office but it just makes you really an authentic ranching. Go back to the sheep herder days. It makes it authentic to you, and we thought that was cool. And people should see it. That's one thing we really appreciate about Big Timber. You know, I love towns like Ennis and all these other cute, you know, Red Lodge and everything, but they're very touristy. This just felt a little more realistic, you know, it's who you are. I mean, when we go into the bakery or the coffee stop and we see the guys with their rubber boots on and everything else, it's not the guy who just bought the cowboy hat down at the local, you know what I mean? These are the guys that work the land. And that was really cool about Big Timber. And for everyone, invite us back. I mean, instead of closed, put open May, June. Invite us back. Don't say go away. We do know they're open May and June, and we knew that ahead of time. But we went down there just to see what it was like, and it looks like it would be really a cool place. But on that sign for people that are driving by, instead of putting closed, open every April and May, or May and June, I think it was. And so we did go there. Pretty cool. And then even the fairgrounds, we went out and checked out the fairgrounds. There should be a sign there that says upcoming events. Are there events held at the fairgrounds in 2024? More than just the county fair?
Yes.
Are they open to the public?
Yes.
Where do I get information? There should be a reader board that say 2024, and you just slide the dates in there. Always invite us back. Now, they did say information over there, fairgrounds, but there's no information about anything that would just come back. It's really information about the fairgrounds, who to call, emergency. There's nothing inviting us back. You know, this is right by the hotel. Tina's, is it Tina's? Terry's. Terry's Gallery and Gifts. You know, it's all this stuff, and it says, closed for the season, reopening April 2024. Well, it's April 5th, they're still not open. So when do you really open? Invite us back. Because we said, okay, they'll be open in a couple days. So we don't know. Invite us back. Over here, we parked right here and we thought, okay, I don't know if they sell food or snacks or when they're open. There's no hours, there's no days. We walked up in there. We were going to eat lunch. It's just locked. No information at all. Nothing. So we weren't sure we're there even open to the public, but it does say a tap room. Then we thought, well, maybe it should be over here, but everything was locked up. No clue. No clue. Invite us back. I have no clue. It's probably a cool place, but
Very cool.
You gotta go after 4 o'clock.
after 4 o'clock, and on what days? 7 days? Okay. See, I had no idea. Okay, I'm guessing I'm finding the proprietor here. Do you have food?
Yes.
You do?
Yep.
See, wouldn't know. Yeah, see, we would if we would have known that, we would have made sure we came back after 4. We didn't know. All it takes is, even a laser printed thing on the door would be enough to bring us back. So, it looks amazing. While we were parked there, we looked across the street. We probably drove by that 20 times, never even noticing it. Because you never use black lettering on dark brown and gray wood. But we were sitting there in front of Circle T trying to figure out, can we find information online? We couldn't find it on TripAdvisor. We were trying to figure out, is it ever open and everything. And Jane goes, look, there's Pizza Montana. And so imagine this, same letters, which would get your attention, that or that? By the way, yellow always pulls the eye. Remember that on signs. Yellow always pulls the eye. And this really, and I want to tell you how important this is, because we're working in Elko, Nevada, and this was their museum. I did an assessment like this. The next day, it was that. And they more than doubled their visitors. I'll bet you Pizza Montana would triple. We did go over there. We talked to the gal there. She was there with her 5-month-old son. What a cutie he was. Really nice. And by the way, it's not just meat. They've got ice cream in there. This is all stuff that if we wouldn't have walked in there because we're doing an assessment, we would have never known. They had all kinds of stuff in there. It was really a cool place. And so, got to be there. And more. It's not just meat in that store. And then, by the way, she told us, yes, we do ship. And yes, they don't take orders for a quarter of a beef here at this. Is more the retail outlet. But it goes, yeah, you could go down to Pioneer Meats or give them a call and order, and of course we're looking for grass-fed, and I'm not sure their brochure didn't have the words grass-fed, but I don't know, they probably have that. But once again, you know what? I haven't shown you anything that's expensive. Nothing. And then while we're in town, we did see this. I have no idea who Wolfgang, is it pronounced Droge? Droge? It says Wolfgang Droge and Droge Park. So I was looking for Wolfgang. I never did find him. I don't know, did somebody donate? Did that person donate the park? Is that okay? It's fine. The sign looks good. We drove down there, but the signage was a little confusing because we did see a sign for a dog park. We pulled up here. We thought, this must be the dog park for dogs that play soccer. And then we looked over to the right and it went, oh, never mind. But if I go back then down there, we say, okay, it must be down the road further. But when you look down the road further, what you see is like a maintenance shop. And then we saw, there's a little tiny sign down there. It probably should be a little bigger so that if we have dog park, we know it's there. So we did keep going all the way down to the end. And we did find the dog park. And by the way, in your Best Of guide, you ought to have a page that just says, here's some awesome amenities. We have a dog park, we have the grocery store, we have, those other amenities that you have in town. But it looks like a great dog park. And then while we're there, we went, there's a trail. There's a trail here. And there might be more, but we couldn't find much information. And so we did see that. We saw the trail map. It looked awesome. It's paved. It even tells you, it's half a mile or a mile. It tells you how far the walk is. There are people out there. You can walk your dog on the trail. And these are great quality of life assets. You need to be promoting them. And so finally, for dinner, we finally ate at the Grand Hotel. It was our fine dining night. It's a beautiful property, and it was a nice experience, and so, I mean, it's really great. Be a nice place to stay, but once again, we were looking for more of an office environment because we were doing so much work. And so we did eat there. It's on the list. I mean, this is a great list so far. So then finally, Wednesday. That's the morning we stopped at the coffee stop. Thank you for coming out. There's probably some people that have to go open up shops. And so we did eat there. That's when Mary told us about there. And of course, we had to put them on there. And by the way, we loved the old car and the espresso. And it's just fun, I mean, it's beautiful inside. And what was really cool about having breakfast there, I said, well, I'd like to have a breakfast sandwich. Well, do you want bagel? Do you want this? They customize it to you. It's not like it comes with an English muffin and sausage or bacon and an egg. You get to customize your whole thing. And 2 minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes later, you got it. Great, really nice. And then, of course, I would include the fort. But what threw us about this, they promote the gift shop and those types of things. And it's really an incredible outfitter. The word outfitter's nowhere on the building. I mean, they've got everything from hunting gear to fishing gear to you name it. And we went in the first day and said, sorry, gift shop closed. Stop it already. When will it be open? Because we went there the next day and it was open. Now, most people aren't going to do that. Keep going back until it's open. But just tell us when. But the fort, and I put the ultimate outfitter. I mean, man, rifles, ammunition, you name it. It's got, booze. Yeah, we know that. That's why we went there, to buy that, because we knew we had been there that one time. And so it's a cool store, but really it doesn't say anything about outfitting, and it's got everything you could possibly want. When we did see the Lazy J Motel, and I thought, well, this is odd. It's always full, and there's cars there, but and I'm going, how are they? They don't take reservations. And then we find out from somebody locally who said, most of these places just rent by the month because we have all these fiber companies in town right now and everything. And I thought, that's really too bad. Because when you're over 30 days, you lose lodging taxes. We as visitors pay a lodging tax. It doesn't cost you a dime. And we want those numbers to go up so that you can collect lodging tax to afford to do the website, the brochures, and all these things we want you to do without it costing the community a dime. And one word I'm going to have with the state is in Montana, you have to have X amount of hotel rooms to be able to even get some of that money back. I'm going, man, the smaller communities need it more than the bigger communities. So in my lobbying effort for you, I'm going to say you guys need to kind of turn that around a little bit, because the smaller communities like Big Timber, they could use that lodging tax. And by the way, have you ever gone anywhere and said, before I decide to stay with you, I want to know if there's an add-on tax? We don't. Las Vegas, you pay like 25%. Yeah, you don't know it until you check out. Many places have resort fees. We even thought that you should do a TBID, which is Tourism Business Improvement District. Right now, when we pay a lodging tax, it goes to the state of Montana, and then some of that comes back to the bigger communities. We would love it if the state did that for every community that collects lodging tax to get some of it back. Because the little smaller communities need it just as much as, or more than Bozeman. And no offense to Bozeman, I mean, it's a great city. But I also believe you could do a TBID where you say, okay, every hotel room here and RV park, if I, the visitor, had to pay an extra $1 a night, but you gave me open signs. You told me when you were open. You gave me better signage to where those, the miles down to those fishing spots. If you gave me that for that $1 a night more I would pay, happy to pay it. Because for that $1 a night per hotel room and RV site, you could do almost everything in here. Or 2%, whatever it is. I would encourage you to do it as a city. So then you get some of that, and it's always paid by visitors, not paid by locals. We pay it, and we get something in return. maybe that would help keep your visitor open center so they could stretch their seasons. So all of those kinds of things. So anyway, saw this sign. I would like to see it twice that size, but I would also like to see downtown left on McLeod. Because there's little green signs both ways say downtown. We didn't see them until like our fourth time driving through. We didn't see those. I mean, we did the first time we drove through. We drove right past. We were looking for a place to eat on Easter Sunday. And Jane goes, "Oh, there's downtown," right as we're driving past it. But this way you could do that. And you're telling them, experience the next 2 miles. I would just point him to downtown. So we did, while we were there, we did stop here. And this, I'm not too sure what to say about it. You can barely walk in there. It's very cool, but there's one reason why you need to go there. Because they have the world's friendliest cat. I think his name was Brett. I think that's what she said. And he climbed right up on you. As a matter of fact, Jane was standing there. He jumped from the floor up on her shoulders. She's going, "Help! Claws out!" I picked him up and he's licking my face. I've got a total wash job, beard, everything. He's really a sweet, it's terrible, sorry about the photo. Really the cutest little cat ever. But he kind of stole the show. But I didn't put it as a best up because I'm not too sure what to make of it. But if you're into antiques and collectibles, I mean you can get lost in there. So then we did go back over to the Shiloh Rifle Company and did go in there. It's awesome. I love seeing these old rifles. My brother-in-law collects, he's got like 30 or 40 guns. Both my brother-in-laws, and they got all these guns and everything. So I sent him a text, "Have you ever heard of?" He goes, "Oh my gosh, yes, best in the world." And he lives in Arizona. He goes, "Where are you?" I go, "Big Timber, where they make these things." And by the way, you get a catalog, a gun, they're all custom made. And they're like $2,500 a piece. But my brother-in-law, Brian, now wants to come to Big Timber just to go in there. See what I mean? And I just went, wow, that's so cool. And, I told him, go quickly down under. And the lady that was working me on the counter, she was on the phone with somebody that was going to order a rifle. And she goes, "We have our own foundry. There is no shit from China here." That's a quote. That's a quote. That wasn't me. That's a quote. Just repeating what she said. Sorry about the cuss word. But I just thought, yeah, right on. And I mean, it is. They make every single, the foundry's right there. I mean, it was so cool. And I said, "There's another place right down the road. Is that like your competitor?" Perfect answer. We have no competitors. Right. How awesome is that? I didn't bother to ask her, was it open? Pretty cool. I mean, that, it's just a little room. It's not much bigger than this stage, but it is so cool. Matter of fact, we bought a couple of glasses in there with the Shiloh logo on it, drinking glasses. And so we never did make it over here. I don't know if it's a best of. I don't know. There's no information on their door. There's no information on the sign. Don't know. So then we decided, let's go downtown. Let's concentrate on downtown. So let's do that. First of all, it's beautiful. We were really super impressed with downtown. There are a few things you can do to make it better, but we did go within there. The first thing we did, went into Little Timber, quilts and candy over there. And of course, we stocked up on candy. Yeah, in the back of the store there. And we gained a lot of weight for just a week. It's amazing. But a great little store, great proprietor. She's really nice. It's something you got to go in to do. And then, of course, we went right into, yes. I mean, that's amazing. Having talent like that in this little town, wow. I mean, they do beautiful work, Hodges Fine Art. It's just great. We had to be on the list. We're running out of room here, you know. And so while we're walking around, we did go over to the general store. But you notice one thing about all these pictures. It's very stark. Now, I don't know if it's because we're here early in April. It's supposed to snow this weekend. Or if you need to soften the facades. We'll get into that a little bit. But we did go into that store. But I thought all of this, all through downtown, you need to do what they do in Fredericksburg, Texas, which is a town of about 10,000 now. But you need to line with these like planters and just things, you know, and you need to soften the transition between your facade and the sidewalk. That's beautification. We did go inside, and what we liked about it, you could buy things in bulk, from lotions, shampoos, and soaps. I mean, it was really a great classical, mercantile style store. Really, I mean, that's awesome. And it wasn't, I don't know if it's meant to be a tourist. I mean, I did buy a pina colada smoothie or something that was really good. That's why I'm gaining a lot of weight. And so it was really great. So we did add that to the list. And then, of course, we went into Gust's, a big timber, mercantile, screen printing. We went in there. We were there at you could see it was getting dark. And by the way, with these, you can see it's starting to get darker this time of day. And so we went in there and we closed them up one day. We came back the next day and they said, "Oh no, they're back again." No, she didn't. No, she said, "You're back." I went, "Wow, they remember us from yesterday." I promised we wouldn't close them back. And by the way, when we go to places, you cannot believe how many places we have gone to assess where we tried to spend money and couldn't find any place to do it. And these are towns of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. And here you are with a population of what, 1,700? And you've got these kinds of shops? Wow. I don't take that for granted. That's amazing. Because we blew our budget way out of the water. Not just on booze, but we ended up buying shoes and shirts and everything else. And it's a fantastic store. And so, of course, we went down the road, kept walking. Two Rivers Gallery is phenomenal. What's really interesting, we were there one day, and it says it's by appointment. Thank you. You can call or text. And then the next day went by and it was open. So I don't know if that was because she was in there getting ready. She just done a photo shoot. Beautiful gallery. She just let us browse around in there. Loved it. I mean, this is a town of 1,700 people. You have two incredible galleries. And then, of course, across the street is Thistle Creek. This won our award for curb appeal. Beautiful. Loved the courtyard. Just incredible. I mean, just pulled us right in. This is as good a shop as you would find anywhere, big or small city or town. And so we're building a house right now. We kept going, man. She goes, "Well, I have stuff online. You can go online, go on my website, all of these things." And so we took down her information so that when we come back, we can stop in there. And once we get into our house, we'll be able to get home accents and things. So Thistle Creek, add them to the list. And then, of course, we go over here to the Crazy Woman Trading Company. I love the facade. Walk in. Yeah, I love it. Irreverent and so fun. Did I get that close to about right?
Yeah.
She's not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I said you're irreverent and oh so fun. It's a great shop. And anyway, and she's great. And so that was really fun going there. And love the little tables and chairs out there. I mean, you can see it right here. And then, so here's a couple things. Retailers. Install blade signs. When we're coming into town, can you tell me what's down there? I see Oon down there for part of the saloon that's no longer operating. But tell me what's down the shops. When we're walking or driving down the street, we see signs that are perpendicular. That's why we didn't see Meets of Montana. It's not perpendicular to us. So when we're walking down the sidewalks, we need to see what they call blade signs, like gusts of wind. Gus has across the street, gusts of wind. Gus has across the. It was very apropos earlier in the week. It was really windy. But like right here, Why should I keep walking down the street? I can see them. I can see Gus. I don't know what's in these shops. Where's the blade sign? How about here? Or we're walking under a building and go, what is this building and everything? I had to go out there into the street to find out it's the bank. You know, I was out there like, hey, don't run over me. These are blade signs. And by the way, they should be consistent height and size. So that's Leavenworth, Washington. Little Bavaria town, signs kind of look like it. But you should use perpendicular blade signs, make them consistent height and size so we don't end up with sign clutter. This is Nantucket. This is Carmel, California. These are in Canmore, Alberta. Notice the consistency. And here's what you should do. No lower than 7 feet, no higher than 9 feet, no wider than 42 inches, usually about 12 to 18 inches from the facade out. And that's what you need to do for your blade signs. And you need to do that. Now, you have some signs that are bigger than that, and so we don't want to create too much clutter. I'd rather you have smaller signs and fairly consistent in size, because that's what we see in a car or walking down the street. Number 9 out of this is downtown beautification. Just so you know this, 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. Have you ever said these words when you're traveling to someplace you've never been? That looks like a nice place to eat. We judge a book by the cover. Fair or not? We all do it. So what you need to do is you can create, because it's too stark. And great, we got planters there. It's early April. You know, I don't know, maybe in May you're putting them out. But you've got a bench there, but it's still too stark. I mean, right here, these people that have work at these credit unions do nothing to, not just kidding. Where's Monty back there? Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, no, they've actually got the 2 pots there, but it should be consistent all the way down. Love the bike racks, but I want to show you what they did in a town. This is Fredericksburg, Texas. They did a cool thing. It's in the hill country, and it's now known for wine. They wanted to beautify their storefronts every 3 feet all the way down. So what they did is they had a couple of people went around, they went door to door and said, we want to go buy a whole bunch of pots, put them like every 3 feet all up and down the street. Would you donate some? We're going to buy them wholesale at the end of the season. And they got $20 from one, $40. Somebody gave them $200. I think their average donation was like $60. They raised like $3,500. In October, they went over to a wholesale nursery, like over in Austin. So for you, it might be somebody in Billings or Bozeman or somewhere. At the end of the season, say, we'll take all the pots you have. They have to be 21 inches or bigger opening. We don't want little ones. If they have a hairline crack, not a problem. We'll take them. If they're chipped on the top, we'll take them. Give them to us at pennies on the dollar. Give us what you got. And so that's what they did. They got somebody with a flatbed truck. They lowered it all up. They went on a side street, put all the pots on the side street and said, merchants, help yourself. They didn't say you donated $10, you only get one. They just said help yourself. So they put them up and down the street. You can see somebody grabbed those pots down there. They're different than these pots. Here's some more. But then what they did is they did a cool thing. They paid Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, cheerleaders, band, any youth organization that was looking to raise money. They took a dump truck load of topsoil, dumped it in a side street, did some round gravel, some landscape fabric, and said, okay, students, we're going to pay you $100 per organization or $200 per organization. Your job is to put rock at the bottom of every, so they put out the pots, all empty, put rock at the bottom, put some landscape fabric over that, and then fill them with topsoil. By doing that, they never had one case of vandalism because the kids protected things they took ownership of. Then in the winter, they fill them full of pinwheels. They did pinwheels and winter decorations. And then the spring, they went out and bought all perennials and planted that. A lot of more evergreens. This lady did these two there. There was a group of pots, so this person just took a bunch of them, kind of grouped them together. But doesn't that make you want to walk into that gallery? Blade sign beautification. So remember this, 70%. There you go. Now, when we talk about curb appeal, look at this. Did you know that 87% of buyers will drive by a house to determine whether it might even be interested in looking at it? Wouldn't you think that if you're going to buy a house, the main thing would be what's inside? No, 87%. If it looks from the outside, it must be nice inside. Same with businesses. Neenah, Wisconsin. We believe cities should do the curbside beautification. Merchants, you can create a downtown association, would do the facade side. Before, Neenah, Wisconsin, before, after. Retail sales went up 35% just doing that. I mean, look at that. There to there. I mean, even that's Leavenworth, Washington. And those benches should always be, and by the benches, don't all have to be cookie cutter. They should always be flanked with pots or planters like that. And always against the facade, it makes your business look inviting. I took this in Laverne, Minnesota. They're not a restaurant. They put that out there because it makes just like a front porch. Your merchant should be doing this. And by the way, should be doing it year round. You know, I would start it like in beginning April even if it's just April through October. Because you have all these little planters and maybe they're going to be planted in another month. Maybe we're here at the wrong time of year. But remember, your peak season should start in April. And I know you may still have some freezes and everything, but you can still put out the dried boughs and there's still some things you could do to pull people in. You know, I love the evergreens that they use at Two Rivers right there. And by the way, the general rule for posters and windows is no more than 4. So now that this presentation is almost done, you can take down all those signs Bonnie plastered all over town about this event. But for merchants, just all kidding aside, when you get more than 4, number one, you're blocking what you're showcasing in your windows. Number 2, we're not going to read them all. And they've done studies. So in this window, we've got Herder Pride, of course. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 over there. The one promoting ours is 10, plus there's some stuff on the door. And so what happens is if somebody brings you a poster and you say, I already have 4 posters out there. Which one do you want me to take down? See what I mean? But I'm just telling you as a merchant. And then the other thing you can do is always extend window displays to exterior spaces. The city should always give you 2 to 2.5 feet of room out there for pots, planters, or extending window displays to exterior spaces. I mean, this lady does this every morning. It's obvious she's in business, and every morning it changes. And so doing this kind of thing really works. No folding tables with stuff on it. That makes you look like a second-class garage sale town. Which is good if you're doing garage sale weekend. But instead of that, no clothes racks. I mean, West Yellowstone, you cannot believe how I dissed all those t-shirt shops. You know what I'm talking about. And so for you, I mean, I just think that's a classy job right there. I took this in January in Grass Valley, California, just down in the Sierra Nevadas. All those flowers are silk. She has an air curtain up in the door so that even in the winter, her door is open and the air curtain keeps the heat in and the cold out. Even your restaurant should do things like that. And then places like this in the core downtown 2-block area, I think we tried to go in every shop. This is one we wouldn't go in. I'm really sorry. I mean, in fact, one day it said close, 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 close in all the windows and on the door. The next day, I think it was open, but I don't know what it is. There's dirt right. It looks like there used to be some pots right there. So we have a big pile. We have dirt there. We have one chair out there. I can't imagine anybody actually sitting in that. Okay, your arrow can go away now. And so it says old-fashioned fountain. I don't know what it is or what it's going to be, but I just went, and maybe somebody's in there just trying to get it set up and they just haven't gotten that far. So you have to remember, I don't know. I just don't know. They should, instead of putting close, they should put coming soon. You know, and just, so invite us back. Number 10, I only have 12. Move visitor information downtown. Look at this statistic. Once people get out of the car, you have a 4 times greater chance of getting them to spend money. I love where the visitor information center is. I would rather see a kiosk out there with brochure distribution and then move the actual visitor information heading downtown. Because here's what happens is when somebody comes downtown, parks, even if they're there for visitor information, how likely would it be say, while we're here, let's get something to eat, let's get something to drink. Oh, we should check out that cute shop over there. Once they get out of their cars, 4 times greater chance. Because how many people go visitor information center, they get back in the car, are they going to come downtown and then get out again? Or will they just say, okay, we're on our way? Don't know. But if you could do that, I don't know where it would be downtown. By the way, I love even what the senior center does. They have beautification out there. I went, that's really cool. And number 11 is Sheep Herder Square. When we first started talking to Monty, he didn't give us anything, but I kept going, Sheep Herder Square, that sounds like a plaza or something. And he's come from the Sheep Herder Square Foundation. I'm going, we had no clue. He didn't tell us, even when we got here. So the other day, we kind of figured it out. But let me give you a background. First of all, the focus of every single elected official, from the President of the United States to the governor, to county commissioners, to city councils, town managers, school boards, every elected official is to improve the quality of life for their citizens. Number 1 goal. And it could be through education, it could be through whatever. And if that's the case, and by the way, you need tax base so that you can afford to do the things that are going to give you an improved quality of life. It's not about tourism. So your mission in Big Timber should be to become the most desirable place to live in the West, or in Montana, or central Montana. I mean, that's your goal. And so we go, every town needs to have a community living room at the plaza. Think about the things you do when you have company come over. And you have people come over and you might play table games, you might watch a movie, you might have popcorn, you might have barbecue. Why don't you have that place in your downtown? Because across the country, amenity migrating is replacing job migration. You will not find a bigger proponent of program plazas than this guy right here. Because it's been working in Western Europe for 500 years and it still works today. The placemaking ingredients, I mean, look at all this stuff. These are all, and you have this stuff, but we need that public gathering areas. Public gathering areas, wide sidewalks, which you have downtown. Plazas, year-round public markets, which you'd have if you had a plaza. Programming, seating areas, things to do, activities. I mean, we can keep going on and on. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. But it's about people. Your downtown needs to be about people, not cars. And you need life after 6 o'clock. Let me give you a statistic right now. 70% of all retail spending takes place after 6 p.m. That's from the National Retail Federation. That is why Walmart, that is why all the big boxes, CVS, all of those places, Safeway, grocery stores, they're all open until 10 at night. You have shops that close at 4:30. That's ridiculous. 70% after 6 o'clock. Think about that. And by the way, talk about tourism for a minute. During the day, what do? We went down Natural Bridge. We could be playing golf. We could be out fishing. We could be over in the crazy mountains. We could be doing all these other things. And then we come back at the end of the day and you're closed. Remember that. So, what comes first is people downtown on a consistent basis. We finally figured out this must be Sheep Herder Square where it's going to be. We saw those wire reels with the word free on them. I'm like, no, those could be good tables. And apparently that's the idea, although somebody saw free and took one anyway. But I kept going. Now, if I had my choice, I'd put it right in the middle of downtown. I'd probably close off a block between Gus and then whatever, you know what I mean? Because I want to monetize it. But this is already in the works. We saw the square. We saw a sign that says, aha, this is it. And so we did see that. But you know, see those there? I thought it says free on them. You know, and because look at this. This is Wichita, Kansas. Pretty cool. Plaza doesn't have to be ultra expensive, but this is Wichita campus. It's gravel and it's just some planters, and I mean, there they go. You know, and so those are the kinds of things you could do. But plazas are so incredible. I'll give you one. We did Rapid City, South Dakota. Main Street Square, which is now a bigger attraction than Mount Rushmore. Totally revitalized their downtown. But down the road is Deadwood. And of course, it would be Outlaw Square, Deadwood. And I mean, downtown casinos, they do shootouts. Now it's a gathering place. And so they see up there, right in this area, we figured, where can we do a plaza right here? Here's a restaurant. It could have cafe dining there. Maybe we could do it right in this area. And so, right there it is. Not very big. And, you know, it's really more of a green, you know, but it's got a great stage. Kristi Noem, the governor, when she dedicated it, rode up on the stage on her horse. You can see the restaurant over there on the right. And the thing is, programming it with activities so people have a place to hang out. That's what you need here. Keep us downtown until it's bedtime. By the way, plazas, the main hours are 4, might be open 11 in the morning. It's open all the time, but your main activities are 11 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And during those summer months, I mean, we want to come there after dinner, I don't want to go back to our hotel room, no matter how nice it is, and watch TV because your town rolled up its sidewalks at 6 o'clock and it's dark at 10. Give us a place where we can come and hang out with the locals. I mean, that place, it's huge for Deadwood. You know, I mean, you can imagine. And then every time there's nothing going on, people still hanging out there. They just want a place where we can just go hang out. And so we just thought, there's the restaurant. Whenever there's anything going on stage, I went there and I said, can I take a picture before there's full of people? It is packed. Their business quadrupled. And during the winter, ice rink. So when we talk about these kinds of things, the deal is, here's the bottom line. 250 days of activity. This does not mean events. 250 days of activity. If you had a splash pad at Sheep Herder Square, maybe it's 1,500 square feet, probably the size of this room, a splash pad that could run 120 days a year. Kids run through it and everything. And then in the winter, it turns into an ice rink. For another 120, there's 240 if you turn 50 days of activity. I mean, wouldn't it be great if you did, you know, the taste of central Montana? Wouldn't it be great in the fall and winter months if you had fire pits and people could come and hang out? You could bring in artisans during the summer months, or there's a glass blower. I've seen people making flies, fishing flies at these. You invite them there. It can be an incubator for small businesses, homegrown businesses, chainsaw carvers, you name it, potters. I mean, even doing, you know, 4 to score, these kinds of games. You can see there's one of the tables in the background. It's a place for people to come and hang out. That would be so cool for your local residents. And by the way, if you want millennials, the biggest generation in U.S. history that are now in their 30s and 40s, they're looking for places like Big Timber. And this is what they're looking for. They're not looking for the bar scene. They're looking for life after 6 o'clock or life after working on weekends. All these things could be taking place there. I mean, think about stargazing. I mean, people doing art there, taking classes. I'd love to see Adam there showing people how to fly fish right on the square. What a great way to land some business. You know, even street vendors and musicians. I mean, this guy's in Sisters, Oregon, and he's doing leaded glass work. You could even have some of these little booths and you rent them. You could buy some of these and you could lease them to a local person that might make jewelry out of their house. Why not? So these are all things that you could do on that square. And the big deal about Sheep Per Square is it needs to keep changing. You want people to keep going, I wonder what's going on the square this week. So it changes every 2 weeks. And you want 10 things for people to do. So if they're not in the splash pad, maybe they're having something to eat from a food truck. Maybe they're playing a game of chess. Maybe they're reading from a little portable library. I mean, Denver has, on 16th Street, has pianos out there year round. But change it up every 2 weeks. This is the one we designed in Heber City, Utah. That's going to be built next year. So look at this. So here you go. This is right down to dollars. You can get sponsors. You might get a law firm. You might get, Crazy Woman Trading might say, well, hey, I'll buy that one. And so these are all things you could do. The Jenga blocks. So you can say, there you go. So these could all be sponsored. But having all these kinds of things, and I'm just going to quickly go through them because I'm going to give Monty and the chamber this presentation so you'll have all this information. All these are outdoor. So you might have a building somewhere, a warehouse building where you store this, and every couple of weeks you keep moving things in and out. So it's always changing. I mean, can you imagine that? Those are always a huge hit. And this little rack right there is like, where is it there? Hula hoop bundle, $200. And so you get 2 or 3 of those. I mean, I love these spun chairs, crazy using those things. But even musical instruments out there. So you could do this. You might do some of these pop-up tents and let them, so you could have basically a farmer's market, could be on the square, but then during the week, during the summer, you might have people doing flies. You could have outfitters with a booth out there. I mean, it'd be a great way to have a little retail space and you're a block away from downtown. I mean, even things like portable skate park, cornhole tosses. We go through the propane fire pits, even these badminton. I was up in Canmore, Alberta. They had people in the middle of the winter using these, dressed in all their ski gear. Look at this. You can do 200 chairs. You can buy all these tables and chairs, on Overstock.com and everywhere, all of these things. I mean, I can imagine during spring break and once in the summer, if you did 2 weeks, it changes every 2 weeks. Yeah, that would be 52 changes. I mean, that would be 26 changes, but maybe you have 13 changes you do twice. So you might bring out these. I love these things, kind of like Lincoln Log, if anybody's old enough to remember Lincoln Log, but these are made out of foam. And the kids are out there building stuff. It's called Imagination Playground. But, all that stuff I just showed you, you know how much all that stuff would cost? Here we go. Here it is. $75,000. Not bad. I mean, and then if people donate them, say, well, hey, I have a restaurant here and we're going to, maybe Great Club Mill says, well, we're going to sponsor one of those sets for $1,500, and then you do some sandwich sports. And by the way, the activities here are sponsored by so-and-so. Give them the benefit. And then finally, you need a programming and management plan. That's the next thing for Sheep Per Square is, and by the way, 99 out of 100 of these plazas, the city owns them and the city takes the lead. That should be the case in Big Timber. I don't think it is. But in this case, we see cities usually own them and then they will lease them out to $1 a year to the chamber, a downtown association, the Sheep Per Square Foundation to operate it and manage it. And by the way, almost all of those are self-funding. They make money on sponsorships. They make money on beer gardens. They make money. They get like 10% of what a vendor sells there, food trucks and those kinds of things. And so, and we always say, sheep per square, if it was just a square, it was all paver stones. That's all you think. If you think about going to a hotel where there's a grand ballroom, it's an empty space. But you can make it look incredible for a wedding. You can make it look like a trade show. You can make it look like anything you want. So the simpler the square, the better. It's what you put on it is the draw, not the square itself. Remember that. Simpler the better. I always say architects are the last people I'd ever hire to do a plaza. Because they want to build stuff. This is an empty space. It's all about the program. So anyway, that's next. And then finally, create a zoning overlay for downtown. In those 2 blocks, I want you to do a zoning overlay. If you've ever been to Deadwood, South Dakota, in the middle of their historic downtown, in the middle of shootouts, is a Dairy Queen. In your 2 blocks, I would not allow franchises and chains in those 2 blocks because it's organic to big timber. There's plenty of room on the highway bypass for McDonald's, Subway, whoever decides to come in here. But in those 2 blocks, it needs to be 100% organic to big timber. And so sometimes you have to put a zoning overlay. In Deadwood, they went too late. Dairy Queen's in, so now you have this historic downtown with red and white stripes in the middle of it. I have nothing against Dairy Queen. It's just the wrong fit for them. There's nothing they can do about it. So finally, in closing up, you have some great assets. My humor of the day was seeing the bench chained to itself. I love that. Not really much of a theft deterrent, but you know what? That says something about timber because it's still there. That's great. Now, we saw, we were just driving around. I'm going, where did this come from? It's on Airbnb, but it's not on TripAdvisor. It should be. It looks phenomenal. And by the way, I did show some shops and stuff because you know what? I already took almost two hours and 15 minutes. And there are a few shops that we missed. As a matter of fact, last night, I got an email from Monty that said, here's a list of all of our businesses and everything. And there's like 7 or 8 on there that I totally missed. But when it comes down to that best of guide, there may be a few that need to be added to that. So just beware that we tried to see everything we could in our time. It takes 14 hours to put this together. And so that's what we were doing yesterday, if you were wondering. I mean, we looked at your medical facilities. They look great. We went over and checked out the high school. We're looking for quality of life assets. The herders, love it. It looked great. There was somebody driving around the parking lot, and we're sitting there in our California place taking pictures of the high school. We're like, oh my God, terrorists are coming from California. Didn't stop me or anything, but I think they're suspicious of what we were doing. Saw this right in front of the courthouse. Isn't that cute? I love these little hidden gems. We went over to the library. We actually went in the library. It's a beautiful library. People were super nice in there. I would add it to the list of outstanding amenities that you offer. I think that's so cool. I think it's amazing. We did see the Absaroka. Am I pronouncing that right? You're shrugging your shoulders. Absaroka Outfitters. But the cool thing, even though it's not open, it could use some curb appeal, but at least they had their brochures there. They're actually did a good job selling it. So, so I thought, well, we probably should add them to the list. And then, of course, with that very best list, look at all these people. We'd have a front cover, we'd have an introduction, what this includes, fun facts about Big Timber, 23 great adventure shops in eateries. There might end up being 30. It's okay if you have one that's almost like a little booklet. That's all right. Outstanding local amenities, a list of those. How to get to Big Timber would be near the back. And then the back would be for more information. And on the back, I would say, these are just some of our businesses. These are just some of them. But I got to tell you, if you didn't make the best of list, it doesn't matter. When they did this, there were people that screamed, You pick them over me. I think I'm just as good as they are. You know what they said afterwards? This was the best $400 I never spent because I didn't realize when they went into my neighbor's shop, who's in here, they also went into my shop. We go to Orlando, and Orlando knows that Disney carries the big stick. And Universal Studios is happy as a clam to take second fiddle. You know, and all those other attractions. And so, here's what we like best about Big Timber and Wolf Park. What we liked about Big Timber, we loved your neighborhoods. I mean, there were some houses that were a little bit questionable, but not that many. I mean, these are smaller homes, but they're cute. They're, for the most part, well-maintained. I love the stone. I mean, they're well taken care of. Love the Herger Pride signs around town that people have in front of their houses. I mean, these are just beautiful. These are just a few. You know what we're doing? Oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. Hey, we should see if we can buy that one. I mean, we were here for 3 days and we're going. I mean, I don't know how many times we said we really like Big Timber, and we don't say that everywhere. Usually what happens is I have to go in and say, here's what you can do to make things better. And I'm privately thinking, where do we start? Here, it's just, we're just finishing the job. There was nothing expensive in this entire presentation, except for the square. And then, I mean, but your home, look at them. What a great town. Lions Club Park. I mean, I went, oh my gosh, look at this. I mean, having fantastic talent like this, right in Big Timber. You know, Mr. Hodges did this, and right in front of the library. This talent right here that you have. But that park is amazing. Captain William Card tells that. We got the gazebo out there. You know, the wool, it talks about the woolen mill. I mean, all of that. I don't very often put a local park on the best of list. But that's a nice park with a playground and everything. Your murals, they're great. And yes, Monty, he talked about, yeah, I mean, yeah, there it is. At the grocery store. Fantastic. They're great. And I thought your downtown was easily your best asset. It's amazing what you can do in 2 blocks. I mean, I look at that. And we know there's no beautification there, but just look at the architecture, look at the color. Just look at it. It's fantastic. I mean, you have great eateries. We never went hungry. You don't know how many rural towns we go in and we walk away going, that was a food desert. That didn't happen here. You know, everywhere we went, exceptional people. Every single person we talked to, when they said, thank you very much for coming in, you can tell they meant it. They didn't say, thank you. They meant it. That's pretty rare. I got to tell you, that's really rare. We're from the Seattle area where they call it the Seattle freeze. You know what I mean? People are kind of cold and everything. We moved to Arizona. It was much better. We moved back to Spokane. Still Washington. We tried to talk our daughter into moving to Montana. That's why we ended up Spokane. Too expensive. That's because everybody wants to be here. But every single person we met was genuinely friendly and helpful, even if we weren't asking for help. So, oh, where are you from? They see me walking around. I have a big monster camera, so a lot of you saw it. So where do you go from here? I shouldn't say each city, but I think every single city should have a destination team. Destination Big Timber team. That's your chamber. It's your city. It's the county. It's your downtown. It's property owners. It's citizens. You put together this community, your foundation, the community foundation, all these organizations, economic development, and you put them together in this team. It's not another organization, but you got to get out of the silos, on the same page, pulling together as a community. And if you create and when we say destination, we're not talking about tourism. Destination, a place to live, to work, start a business, move a business, grow a business, and to visit. And then turn many of these suggestions, you're going to have them all. You're going to have all of these. That team would go through this list. There's 80 of them. And a lot of them are really simple. You put all the signage related ones together and say, let's create a little committee that's going to work on those. I mean, this whole thing that you just saw is about making something happen. And I always say Mason people do not just happen, and you have them here. I mean, we've been so impressed. And there you go. Here's making Big Timber an even better, thriving place to live, work, invest in, and visit. And with that, done. All right. Yeah, if somebody has a couple of quick questions, I know you probably want to get, it's lunchtime almost. I thank you so
Roger.
much for coming out on a Friday morning. But mine, go ahead.
Just quickly, I don't want to interrupt or shut off the questions. I forgot to introduce some people. This is Barb Shannon from the Office of, I guess, our Department of Commerce, Office of Tourism, and Robin Hoover from Yellowstone Country. That's our regional destination marketing group. So we are so tickled to have you. I hope you learned as much as we did. And Roger, for anybody that wants to come and join us for lunch after the questions die down and you get your stuff packed up, there will be a lunch at the level, first floor of the Masons Lodge, and everyone's invited.
All right. And that's where I'm gonna go over there. We're gonna have a lunch, and it's just, you can ask questions. No more presentations, just questions. So with that, is that what you want to do? Maybe we'll see you over there. Does anybody here have any last minute questions? Or if not, I'm gonna pack up. You're willing to come up and ask any questions? Remember, there were some businesses that we didn't get a chance to see that we can't wait to see when we come back again. So, including Circle D. Finally get in there. Now that we know. All right, thank you so much for spending your morning here. Thank you very much.
I love seeing all